Hey guys, this is Ashton from MuseThemes. Today we're taking a look at our Cinch Slideshow widget. It's a very simple and easy to use, responsive slideshow from Muse, which is awesome. From the demo here you can see it's very simplistic, it's beautifully styled. Here we have forward and backward buttons that are also customizable. And as I scale the browser down, you can see that it is fully responsive. Now there's a couple different variations of the slideshow included. Right here we're looking at the full screen version, but if we click over to standard, you can see a more traditional placed kind of slideshow that has a different caption placement on this version. You can also set a fixed height so you can use it for heroes or smaller slideshows on your page. So if we hop into Muse, let's go to our library and we'll drag the widget out onto the canvas. Now the very first thing we should do is add some images to the widget. So if we pop open the settings panel, you can see we have several of these drop-down sections. Now these first four here are your image loaders, and you can add up to 20 images into this widget. So if we expand the first one, and for starters, let's enable slides 1, 2, and 3. Then we'll go ahead and click Add File for each one, and we'll load something in from our Finder. I've already got a few images set up here already, and these are about 1,500 pixels wide. Also, for the sake of the demo, I'm going to go ahead and type some sample captions here as well. We'll go Muse Themes, Responsive Muse, and Cinch Slideshow. Now the last option we've also added into this widget is the ability to make the captions linkable. So all you have to do is click Enable Caption Link, and you can type in any URL here in the box. You can also link to pages within your own site. So for example, if you wanted to link to your About page, you'd simply have to type about.html. But we'll go ahead and leave this inactive for now. So now that we have a few photos loaded in, let's go ahead and play around with some positioning. Now you'll see the widget comes set default to responsive when placed on the page, and we have it centered on our page with a little gap on either side. Now if I just go ahead and preview this in the browser as it stands, you'll see the space on the sides is maintained, and the slideshow is already working nicely. Now if I scale the browser down, it's going to maintain the same size right up until it just about hits that border with those gaps, and then it's going to start to shrink responsibly from there on. So now let's jump back into Muse and see how we can set this up to be full width. You simply have to select the gallery, and you can visit your resizing menu up here on the top and select full width. Now just from that, if we go ahead and preview it in the browser again, you can see that it is now full width. Now it's important to note that with this full width setting, the widget is actually displaying the photos at their full size and their full height. So you can see right now it's taking up a great deal of space vertically on the page, but later on I'll show you how you can force the height of this slider to a certain maximum so it doesn't take up quite as much space vertically if you want. So far everything's looking good. We'll go ahead and hop back into Muse, and I'm just going to pop back into this responsive width instead of full width for now. We'll go ahead and shrink it down again and center it. Now if we jump back into the settings panel, let's take a look at this fifth drop-down right here at Slideshow Settings. First one is Display Mode. You can select Standard and Full Screen. Keeping this at Standard, it's kind of your general slideshow. It's kind of placed on the page just like we've been playing with. But if you change this to Full Screen, this will set the slideshow to full width and full height, and it's going to fill the whole entire browser regardless of what size it may be. So we'll change this to Full Screen. Now if you do that, just make sure that you've placed the widget on the very top edge of your page and you have the gallery itself set to full width. The widget is then going to take care of the full height aspect. So we'll go ahead and preview this in the browser again. And you can see now that we have full screen functionality, even as I resize the browser. So far everything's looking really good. So let's jump back into the settings panel, and I'll go ahead and set this back to standard for now. Now here we have just some general slideshow settings. Here we have transition mode and transition speed. So we can select fade or slide. I'll go ahead and change this to slide. Speed comes set default to 700 milliseconds or 0.7 seconds, so you can always go up or down as desired. Now caption mode. Standard is what you saw in the original demo here. This is the standard style. It's a caption, it stays in the corner, which remains pinned and kind of out of the way of the photo. You can also set the positioning of the standard captions here with this caption positioning. Now the other mode you can set for captions is a headline, which will actually center the text in the slider. And that's what we did on the full screen demo here. This is using the headline caption style, which of course you can style up the text color and background color and all that good stuff, and we'll get into that in a moment. Now down here you have the option to enable or disable the navigation dots and arrows, which gives the user more control over the slides that they're seeing. So we'll go ahead and turn both of those on for now. We can also turn on autoplay and set the speed. So we'll go ahead and leave this on and set the transition to every 5 seconds. Now here we have autoplay pause on hover. This forces an auto-playing slideshow to pause itself whenever the user rolls the mouse over the slideshow, so it's pretty cool. Now for enabling fixed height. This is what I mentioned before when we had the full width slideshow. So I'm going to go ahead and set this to full width again for now. And let's just preview this in the browser again so we can see what I'm talking about. The images are automatically displayed, like I said, at their full size. They're pretty tall, and it might be taking up more vertical space on your page than you would desire. So if we pop back into the settings, let's go ahead and enable the fixed height, and we'll force the images to be 500 pixels maximum. And we'll keep this forcing the images to stay centered in the box. And you can change this to top, center, or bottom, just in case your images have more important visuals in certain parts of their frame. So now let's preview it again. And now you can see that it's forced at that 500 pixel maximum. And we can shrink the browser down and it will stay the same at that max until it starts to become too small, in which case it will shrink down responsively just as before. So the last section of our slideshow settings allows us to enable custom arrows, and you can upload your own graphics here. So you just simply select this box and then click Add File for both your left and right arrows. Now I already have a couple of graphics set up, so I'll go ahead and add those both in. Then the arrow dimensions here allows you to change their size. Now I prefer to keep it smaller at 100 pixels here, but you can always increase or decrease this. So now let's give this another browser preview. And you can see our graphics added in and reflected here. So now the last section of our settings panel down here is the slideshow styling. This first one here is slide border radius. This allows you to add some cool, stylish, like curved corners to the slider. So I'm going to go ahead and take the gallery off full width and put it back to responsive and centered here. And we'll add a border radius of 20. Navigation color allows you to customize the color of the navigation dots and default arrows. So I'll go ahead and let's make this an orange. Caption font here, it's pretty straightforward. Just make sure you're using the technical names of the fonts, which we've gone over this before, but it can be tricky, especially with some of the typekit fonts. And we do have a blog post about this in case you run into any trouble. Now here you can set the caption text size and color, which we'll go ahead and leave those alone for now. Now caption background color and opacity, that applies to that black box you saw behind the captions. And you can customize this to your liking, or set the opacity to 0 if you want to eliminate it completely. And lastly, caption border radius, which allows you to add some curve to the caption background as well. So we'll give this one final browser preview, and we'll see everything taking effect. We have our border radius, our colors are changed, and our custom arrows are still applied. So as you can see from this and our live demo, it is a really powerful slideshow. It's very versatile and customizable for responsive Muse, and you can really do a lot with it. So thanks again for watching, best of luck with the widget, and please let us know if you need any assistance. Have a great day.